What is up, everybody? It's your boy here. So, got a bit of a surprise. Well, not really a surprise. If you're watching, I suppose you would have already known that this was going to happen. But, well, ta-da! The R1 Raptor. Well, it's not technically an R1, but it's a YZF Thunder Race, YZF 1000 Thunder Race, 1998. So this engine is 148 horsepower, 5-speed, 110 Newton meters of torque. If you look at the 98 R1, they're virtually exactly the same, except the R1 is a 6-speed and has like 1 or 2 more horsepower and 2 less Newton meters. This is a 1002 cc. The R1 is a 998, so 998 cc. So I was gonna film us putting it in, but I just didn't. Like, I just wanted to get it in because when I work on things, I take it a bit far. So yeah, how the whole thing is mounted, right? What we had to do, I don't know if you've ever seen a stock Raptor frame before, but usually this just comes steep, like bonk up here and then back down to here. Well, back down to here. Sorry. So what we've had to do is obviously cut that because. So what I wanted, right? I'll try and do it this way. Lots of people cut this bottom frame here, and the biggest problem I see with that is that you lose your ground clearance. You lose a heap of ground clearance when you cut the bottom. Yes, it's easier to line it up here. It's easier to line your sprocket up and at a nice angle to your rear sprocket. But again, I'm using this. This is going to be off-road. I'm going to trail ride this. I'm going to jump this. I'm going to sand dune this. I'm going to do everything a normal Yamaha Raptor does, just with a 1000cc engine in there. And it's going to be fast, and when I say it's going to be fast, I mean it's going to be blisteringly fast, like insane. So yeah, I'll go through a bit more of how we mounted it. I won't make this too long because it'd be a bit boring. So that was the first thing we cut. As you can see here, we've drilled the hole in here. This is just about this long, and it just comes all the way down into here, and a hole through, and that bolts on there. Nice and simple. We had to bend that. We had to bend this pipe out. We got a pipe bender here. I think we've done a pretty good job considering neither me or my dad are qualified engineers, mechanics. We're not qualified in anything like that. But I think we've done a pretty good job. So you can obviously see it's bent up here. And then it mounts onto here. So this one here, you can see that we've welded this one in. So that's a permanent fix because you can't really get an Allen key or a hex head or anything in there. And then we've got these two here. So to give you a total of 3 bolts in that plate. Now, just to tell you now, this is all we're going to see how it goes. So when we've got this in there and when it's running, blah, 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 we're going to see actually how it goes. And whatever it breaks, we'll fix and then reinforce. So then, that's how that is mounted up there. And then we've got the 2 bars here, which come down to your engine mounts, which that's where they're mounted from stock. So relatively simple. You can actually see it's not straight, so the engine doesn't sit straight. You can see that this side sits slightly down and to that side, and that side sits slightly up, and the whole engine's over the left. The reason why we had to do that is to try and line up your because that's the most important part. It's bloody mozzies, flies. That's your most important part there, is lining up your front sprocket to your rear. You can't have it too far across. The height doesn't really matter as much as long as it doesn't hit on here or here, or the swing arm too much, because it's got, I'll show you all that later. As you can see, this is this side here, so it's the same. It's exactly the same thing. It's got a bit of a different setup here, so we had to make a stud, our own stud there, to fit into there and weld that in. It's not great. Neither of us are qualified welders, but I think it'll be plenty enough for it to hold. And as you can see, 3 bolts. So I'm planning on having all of them hex heads because I hate Allen keys. So as you can see, it's a bit different here because it's obviously one side, like it isn't symmetrical. It sits to one side, which that's how we've had to make it for it to sit. So as you can see here, instead of coming straight from the bottom like this one does, these come from the back, and we've had to bend them around. Sorry, you can't see shit, can you? There, so as you can see, so it's just a reverse, like I feel that since I've done this once, I feel I could do it again 100%. So that's how it's mounted on the top. this here is how it's mounted in the middle. So as you can see here, we've just put two bolts. These had to be Allen keys, and we had to actually shave them down. So they're an odd size. The outside has been shaven down, and you can see we've made this, and that sits on like a bit of a weird angle. You can see it actually sits up and then forward, and then that's a second mounting point, which is also your mounting point for your rear part of the frame. So that's relatively simple there. I'll go into this in more detail later. This is just a quick one. And then the third mounting part is just down here. This just goes, I think this is where the swing arm might have gone through before on the stock. Fucking mozzies on the stock frame, like when it was in the bike. But yeah, there's not really much to show there. That just goes through, comes through like that, and it's just mounted on either side, and that's one long bolt. One here is actually, what do you call it? It's just like a threaded rod. It's a threaded rod both ways through, so we can really pinch it up against each other, because that's very important. I mean, they're all very important mounts, but that's, I feel, is one of the most important. I mean, I can't really go into much more. I'm sorry about the lighting. I don't know what the fuck it's doing. It's because the sun's. But yeah, that's sort of, that's it for the moment. So this is the day one. I'm going to start filming myself with my GoPro in my head, and I'm going to start putting the swing arm in. I'll put the A-arms on. I'll put the suspension in. I'll get the tyres on. I'll put the steer, because when you see it, this isn't a cheap build. I'm not doing what I see, because I see plenty of them online, and none of them that I've seen would be what I do. They do two things. They do it cheap, so they just cut the frame. They put the thing in right on the stock frame, right on the stock. Because we might have to strengthen this frame up. We might have to gusset it in the corners. If that happens, well then, so be it. That's perfectly fine. We pull the donk out and we strengthen it up. But the problem that I see with a lot of them online is when they cut this bottom here, it takes your fucking get pissed off. You lose ground clearance, so they're usually just a one-trick pony. You know, they drag them and they race them, and that's it. And I don't want that. I want to be able to ride this up my paddock and jump it. So that's the first problem I see with just about. If you look online, that's the majority of all of them. That's where they cut it, is that bottom frame, because it's so much easier. It'd be so much easier to cut the bottom and leave the top. Because now I've got to get a special tank made. I've got to make top fairing for it. I've got to do heaps of work. And the second problem is that they leave everything stock. So you're putting, well, the stock 660 Raptor, I think, has, what does it have? 50 horsepower. These have 100. Well, we'll just round it up and say 150. 3 times the horsepower. You need to strengthen everything up. Everything. It needs to be strong. So I've spent about, this is in Australian currency, not including the price of the quad, which was $3.5 grand when I bought it. I spent 13 grand on it, 14, because it's probably up around there 15 grand, because I've just remembered a grand for tyres, a grand to get, I just had a heap of work done to the engine, so I'm probably up about the 15 grand. Oh, you'll love it. You're going to be really impressed with the parts. Well, I haven't spared a single penny. Everything has either been rebuilt or is brand new. And is aftermarket. It's going to be wider. It's going to be longer. Yeah, you're going to love it. It's going to be fucking insane. This is going to be a head turner. So yeah, I'm sorry that was so long. So I'm going to leave that there. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you've had a good day. Hope you're going to have a good day. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow.